Board members ready? We will call the May 14th meeting of the Caroline County Board of Supervisors to order. Let the record state that all members are present. Mr. Black representing the Western Caroline District, Mr. Seeley representing Bowling Green, Mr. Underwood representing Reedy Church, Mr. Akers representing Madison, Mr. Taylor representing Port Royal, and I'm Floyd Thomas representing Mattapanai. At this point in time, I will ask Mr. Black to give us the invocation, followed by our Eagle Scout awardees who will give us the pledge. Mr. Black.
All rise. Dear God, we come before you tonight asking for your blessings, asking for your guidance in the decisions that we have to make. With your knowledge and your grace, please guide us in these decisions. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Davis, Mr. Haywood, if you would come forward, please, to the podium. These are two of Caroline's newest Eagle Scouts, so we're very proud of them, and we asked them to work for their recognition, and they kind of said yes quickly. Gentlemen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. If you guys will have a seat in the front, we're going to do you first as soon as we take care of a couple of housekeeping things. Mr. Cully, do we have any amendments to the agenda?
We just need to remove one of the closed meetings, a discussion of consideration acquisition of real property for public purpose, the second closed meeting item.
Which is listed on our 6:15 or so break, 6:30 break. Okay, so we're taking number 2 off. Anything else? That's it?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, that's it.
All righty. Thank you. Gentlemen, if the board doesn't mind, we're going to do the Eagle Scout recognitions, and then we'll come back, please, to board comments. So, we have Mr. Davis and Mr. Haywood, and we have them out of order. I'll just take those two. Here we go. All right. We have a resolution commending Miles D. Davis for achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. Whereas Miles Davis, a homeschooled high school junior who resides in Carmel Church, was presented the Eagle Scout Award at the Court of Honor ceremony on April 21st. And whereas Mr. Davis is a member of Troop 173 of Bowling Green and is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Timothy Davis, whereas Mr. Davis earned 39 merit badges and served as a chaplain aide of his troop on the way to becoming an Eagle Scout and plans to attend college and one day become a pastor. Whereas Mr. Davis's major service project consisted of leading fellow scouts and others in cleaning and painting 58 fire hydrants in the town of Bowling Green and the county, a significant service to the community that enables emergency responders to quickly identify the hydrants. And whereas the board wishes to recognize Mr. Davis for his impressive achievements to the county, now therefore be it resolved that the Caroline County Board of Supervisors hereby congratulates and commends Miles Davis for the hard work and leadership he exhibited in achieving Eagle Scout rank and extends its best wishes to continued success in the future. Mr. Davis, congratulations. And to have a similar one for Mr. Bernard Haywood III, whereas Bernard Haywood III, a student at Caroline High School who resides in Carmel Church, Mattapanai District, great kid, Mattapanai District, has achieved the Eagle Scout rank, and whereas Mr. Haywood is a member of Troop 46, sponsored by Shiloh Baptist Church in Fredericksburg, and is the son of Bernard Haywood Jr. and Kim Haywood, and whereas Mr. Haywood earned numerous merit badges and served in many leadership positions for his troop, including Assistant Senior Patrol Leader, Junior Assistant Scoutmaster on his way to becoming an Eagle Scout, and plans to attend Virginia Tech and major in engineering. And whereas Mr. Haywood's major service project consisted of planting a flower bed at the Caroline County Recreational Park, which has significantly improved the appearance of the park, for users and guests. Whereas the Board of Supervisors wish to recognize Mr. Haywood for his impressive achievements and contributions to the county. Now therefore be it resolved, the Caroline County Board of Supervisors hereby congratulates and commends Bernard L. Haywood III for the hard work and leadership he exhibited in achieving Eagle Scout rank and extends its best wishes for continued success in the future. Both of these are adopted May 14th. If I could have a quick resolution and a yes? Or
So
a
moved,
motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Seeley, second by Mr. Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I will ask Mr. Davis and Mr. Haywood if you will come forward. You can take the stairs up there. Any of their family members that are here? Okay, come on. We're going to go right to the Virginia flag. All right, Eric, you going to take the Okay, gentlemen, we're going to go back to board comments. Mr. Black, board comments?
None at this time.
Mr. Seeley?
None at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Underwood?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to certainly give thanks to Mr. Culley, Chairman Thomas, and of course the Sheriff's Department for reacting so quickly and getting the information out regarding the Boston bomber suspect being buried in Reedy Church District over on Sadie Lane. I was on my way to my mom's grave site to put flowers on her grave for Mother's Day when I got the news on Friday, so I had a little different perspective. I was angry because we were not notified, but I was not angry because he was buried. And I think that I yield to a higher moral authority, that the county did everything we could. There were no state laws violated. Mr. Culley did the research. So I have to say that while we were angry that it occurred, the Bible says, judge ye not, lest ye be judged also. So I say he must be judged by the higher authority, which I'm not the higher authority. And that day will come when he has to answer for everything that's happened. This great United States of ours has gone through much. So he perpetrated a terrible crime on the citizens of this nation. But we stand together, one nation under God, indivisible. That's what we say, and we have to mean it. And we come together, and we stay together, and we win. We will overcome this issue. We will be better from this issue. And again, I thank the citizens of Caroline County for their professionalism and the way we handle this. We too are strong, and much stronger than Boston. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Underwood. Mr. Akers?
No, sir.
Mr. Taylor?
No, sir, not this time.
Okay, I had a couple of trivial board comments I wanted to add, and then a statement similar to Mr. Underwood's. I prepared these Wednesday, so I'll leave some of them out. But I know we don't normally give shout-outs, but I have to personally thank Dr. Woodford in Bowling Green and Dr. Wicker of Spotsylvania Regional Medical Center for my successful surgery and for my clear bill of health today. So I'm always blessed every day, and I did want to say thank you, although that's not something we normally do. But to the serious matters, I did prepare a couple of comments that I wanted to make sure I read and make sure that folks understood at least the depth of the situation that happened Friday and so forth. So here we go. On May 10th, 2013, Caroline County, Virginia was once again thrust into the national and international spotlight. Media reports that one of the Boston Marathon bombing suspects was buried in Caroline began surfacing early Friday morning. Reports were unconfirmed at that time and would remain so throughout the day. The sheriff responded to those reports, and county staff worked with him on confirmation. The sheriff and I, as chairman of the Board of Supervisors, held a joint press conference at 3 p.m. to inform the many media outlets that the county had no prior indication, no discussions, and had not given any permission regarding the burial. Since the original report, the sheriff has been able to confirm that the burial in a private cemetery did take place on Thursday, May 9th, and it complied with all applicable state laws. I, for one, am not perfect, and I struggle with the events that took place. Like many others, my thoughts and emotions have run the gamut from shock to anger, from disbelief to sorrow. I believe that most of us did not want the county to be associated with any notorious criminal. I also want to believe that we would have objected if the Virginia Tech shooter or the Oklahoma City bomber were to be buried here. In their case, undisclosed locations are listed as their final resting place. Caroline had no connection with those events or the events in Boston. We did not ask for this. We did not want this. We do not like this. But this responsibility has been thrust upon us. It is now up to the people of Caroline County to once again help America close a chapter in its history. Just as the nation's most cherished documents were penned by Virginians, we Virginians will show America and the world how we live up to our ideals, no matter how hard it is. We will search our hearts and renew our spirits, moving forward, respecting everyone's freedom of religion, one of our key founding principles. We will move forward, encouraging freedom of speech, even when we do not agree with it. We will exchange ideas. We will reach common ground. We will all grow. But it must be said, we will not forget. We will not forget that the Boston bombing was a horrific act that could have taken place anywhere. We will not forget that random violence and the destruction of innocent lives anywhere is inexcusable. We will become more vigilant. We are still a nation of laws, and our public safety teams will remain true to their serve and protect motto. In spite of all the circumstances, we will stand tall. Finally, we'll continue to look out for our neighbors and fellow citizens as we've always done. We will continue to work together, knowing that we have more in common than different. We will continue to understand that we're all in this together, that all of us matter, and we all have value. The people of Caroline County have been asked to lead the way, and lead the way we shall. We'll move to our next order of business. Thank you. Which would be presentations. Unfortunately, the VDOT report would be up next. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We're going to totally, I don't really like to be really serious all the time. I like to enjoy life. So we're going to do Toys for Tots next, which was supposed to be. And that'll be a very good segue. We have, who do we have? Ms. Hennichek? We have two appreciations for actual Marines, and we have one for Mr. Keith Marine, who is not a Marine, just named Marine. So who's accepting for Mr. Marine? All right, and we have one for an appreciation for Mr. Keith Marine, whereas Keith Marine of the Rappahannock area YMCA partnered with the United States Marine Corps and the Caroline County Department of Social Services to collect Toys for Tots for the Toys for Tots program to serve children and families in Caroline County. And whereas his efforts were a big part of the success of the program, which provided a brighter Christmas for over 550 children in Caroline County this past December, and whereas in addition to the efforts for Toys for Tots program and collecting other toys, Mr. Marine also conducted a food drive for the Department of Social Services in which over 20 boxes of food were collected. And whereas Mr. Marine had a terrific community partner dedicated to helping the citizens of Caroline County, has embraced every opportunity to assist in any way he can, and now therefore be resolved, the Caroline County Board of Supervisors hereby expresses its appreciation and gratitude to Keith Marine for his work on behalf of the citizens of Caroline County and wishes him much continued success in all future endeavors. And that, of course, is adopted today. And you're going to accept for Mr. Marine?
Yes.
If you would come forward, please.
Okay.
And Eric will do one more set of shots, and we'll do the two other Marines when they can be here. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. We should have done that one, too. And then we'll do the VDOT report. Was in Caroline?
Yes.
Come on, Wayne. Wayne? Why related? Giving you all the why responsibility. thank you. There should be applause. Oh, you gotta come. I think we're going to try to have the Marines eventually show up. They want to. Okay. So we'll try to send those out the quickest way we can to make sure they have them. We've got addresses. Okay. So we've got addresses. We're all set. Mr. Duval, I apologize for my earlier faux pas, but now it's really good to see you. So Mr. Duval is here for the VDOT report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. Thank you for allowing me to come here tonight. I'd like to first start off by saying thank you very much for the cooperation that Caroline County has extended to VDOT. It's been my pleasure to work with the gentleman and his staff here, and Mr. Cully and Mr. Allen have been extremely beneficial, and I appreciate everybody's help here. So we certainly say thank you for the cooperation. I'd like to speak about a couple of projects that we have ongoing in Caroline County. The Route 301 project, the bridge, as you well know, is coming towards completion. A job scheduled to be completed in July of this year. We're looking forward to that. Recently completed the 207 bridge, and that was a nice, certainly a great benefit for Caroline County for that to happen. As likewise, the Route 600 bridge over Boot Swamp is under construction. As you know, we have closed Route 633 over South River because of safety reasons, and we've accelerated that project to work in conjunction with Caroline to get that project underway and going. Route 654 over Reedy Creek. The notice to proceed for the right-of-way began in April, and that's moving along well. Likewise, 721 bridge over Beverly Creek. The design is underway. We've begun mowing throughout the county, and as you will see, around June 1st, the contractors will start on 95 at the southern end of Caroline County and move north, doing first trash removal and then cutting both the medians and the sides throughout Caroline County. We met last time and talked about guardrail going in possibly on Stonewall Jackson, and we have gone ahead and started the design of that project. The funding that we're looking at right now is roughly $150,000, and so we will be sitting down with the county once that's finalized to see if there is continued requests for the project and then a source of funding for that to move forward if both entities agree to that, and we'll go from there. Belmont subdivision, that construction should start on the curb gutter and sidewalk that needs repairs within 3 weeks. I met with Mr. Parker tonight as a contact with the neighborhood, and at the pleasure of the board, I would like to work with Mr. Parker and others to make sure that project is successful, and we'd like to move forward. I'd like to also speak tonight about the first phase of the secondary 6-year plan that you have a public hearing scheduled for May the 28th. The Code of Virginia requires that the state of Virginia and the Caroline County Board of Supervisors formulate a 6-year secondary plan and establish a priority list for this secondary improvement budget. We have proposed this plan and budget for your consideration regarding this matter, and today's meeting and the public hearing on May the 28th are being conducted for the 2014 through 2019 plan and for the 2014 fiscal year. I'm pleased to report that VDOT is here to say to Caroline County that we look to being doubling the amount of funds that VDOT is dedicating to Caroline County for the next 6 years. And so that VDOT is very excited about that, but we will look to you to make sure that VDOT performs in likewise manner to deliver projects that are to your satisfaction and to your request. Please keep in mind that this plan is only for improvements in new construction. It does not include maintenance work such as potholes, pulling ditches, snow removal, or repairing roads. Those issues are the items that we discuss as I come, and then also as you notify Mr. Cully and his staff for those situations. We appreciate those calls coming in to his office. Our 1-800-4-ROAD is our 24-hour-a-day contact for any questions that you have regarding roads and bridges within Caroline County, and we appreciate those requests. In preparation of and updating the proposed 6-year plan, we met with the county administrator and staff to discuss the current plan and to seek guidance on any changes that may have been determined necessary by your county since the approval of the current plan for fiscal year 13. In the proposed 6-year plan, the following has been recommended. Paving priorities: Route 639 Lady Smith Road, a reconstruction road project with added capacity. Route 751 Coleman Town Road, for our rural rustic, as likewise Faulkner Lane and Old CC Road. You will see these 3 projects going on this summer, and we're very happy to report that. Route 760 Sorrel Lane is also in the funding loop and will be fully funded in fiscal year 17, and so that project should be able to start in 17. We've added, per request, Durrett Road and Menarche Road. I apologize if I mispronounce it, but
Menarche.
These are likewise.
Menarche, and I've done the
Menarche,
same thing.
okay, all right. Okay, so we're adding those there. And then the last project I spoke of a little earlier, Route 633, Old Church Road over South River, the project being the one that's closed that now has been fully funded by VDOT. So very exciting to be able to report that to there. Please note the funding amounts are found in the allocation sheet that I believe we provided you earlier. In the past couple of years, the board may recall that telefees were the main funding source, and the governor has come along with a new transportation plan that will fund other projects in conjunction with this. Mr. Chairman, I recommend we table the discussion and propose for May 28th a short work session for us to discuss the proposed plan and then open the public hearing to solicit and receive public comments regarding the proposed plan and budget. Thank you.
Okay, let's take that first. I don't think there's any problem with May 28th. We have a lot of public hearings? No? Okay. So if it's okay with the board, we'll schedule that. We'll have a short work session, which I guess is just a discussion.
Yes, sir. I'll pretty much repeat what I did tonight. If there's any questions at all from the board, I'll be here to answer those. Joanna Hall is with me here tonight from our secondary 6-year plan program that's also here to help. And she or an associate will be here also on the 28th. And then open up for public comments. And then we would recommend, call for a vote.
Okay.
Okay?
We will plan to do the same thing you did at this
Yes, sir.
time,
Okay.
6 or so. You'll make that same presentation.
Be glad to.
We'll have the public hearing at 7:30 as
Great.
we do with the rest of them.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Duval before
Yes.
you leave? Mr. Black?
I just got a quick question. I mean, at my last constituent meeting, I think people are kind of curious, including myself, the 639 road widening project. Can you guys give me some information on that as far as, are you trying to turn, are you trying to make a turning lane there near the Sitco going up Route 1? I mean, I'm just kind of curious on what you said there was added capacity for that. I'm just kind of curious of the details so that I can get that out.
If you don't mind, I'd be glad to come back and I'll get you something this week and kind
Okay.
of put together a little package. I'll send it to Alan, and then
Okay.
so the board can kind of do that. I'd rather do that instead of, if that's okay with
All right,
you.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Sure.
Mr. Seeley?
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Underwood?
Mr. Duval, just wanted to say thank you to you and your VDOT office for working with us on the Old Don Road.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
Certainly the residents there are very
Right.
pleased
Okay.
that you completed the study, and
Yes, sir.
certainly you met us in the middle.
Yes, sir.
And I
Yes,
think
sir.
that's
Yep.
when things work best.
Yeah,
We
that
do
was wonderful.
We
Yes,
do
sir.
appreciate that, and we want to say thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Mr. Akers?
Thank you. Mr. Duvall, you and I met, along with another gentleman from your office, out at Blazeville intersection probably a month and a half or 2 months ago now.
That's correct, sir.
And we talked about doing something at that intersection whereas people were going into the convenience store and coming out, and,
Yes,
and there were several suggestions made.
Mhm.
And I thought you were going to get back with me as to what the resolve was going to be, and I haven't heard.
The information that I have is that I sent a certified letter to the owner, and the owner must respond back to us that they are in concurrence with the proposal, so, before we can put a sign on their exit.
So the owner has not responded or did respond?
He did not respond, no, sir.
Can we follow
I have
back?
not-
Can we
pardon
follow
me?
up with, can we follow with him? Up
I
with
can
him?
send him another letter, yes, sir.
Yeah, because I think it's something that I understand we have to get his concurrence to put it on his property.
Okay.
I don't know whether there's any right-of-way property that the state owns there or not, the highway owns or not.
Well,
But I do believe it's something that needs to be done
Okay.
in order to.
What I'll do is I'll copy the letter, put on there, copy to you if it's okay.
Yeah, please.
Send it through Mr. Parton, and then,
Okay.
yes, sir, okay.
Second issue, Bridlewood subdivision, which is west of Route 1, probably a mile and a half,
Okay,
maybe 2, but probably a mile and a half. And as you come out of that subdivision, it is difficult to see to the west
okay,
as to what's coming east, traffic coming east. There are a lot of brush and a lot of tree limbs and things of that nature that's really hindering the sight distance there.
Okay.
And so you have to pull out almost into the first lane. It's a
Okay.
narrow road anyway,
all right.
so you can see around those trees.
Yes, sir.
Is there something we can do with that?
I'll be glad to look at it. Yes, sir,
Okay.
absolutely.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
And that's Bridlewood subdivision.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right,
Mr. Taylor?
Thank you.
Yes, I just want to make sure I have a clear understanding of the guardrail situation. And you said that you mentioned something about a fee, and you talked about two entities getting together. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
yes, sir. The design of the project is twofold. The first part is protecting the culvert, the crossing of the actual thing there. And then what we looked at is doing guardrail, back for a ways through what I call the swamp area. And so the $150,000 cost would be for the entire project to have guardrail on both sides throughout. And so what we're trying to do in VDOT is figure out what would be the recommendation, and then see if there's a funding source. Okay. VDOT possibly has funding sources, but today I have not had anything earmarked for it. I need to finalize the design, and then I kind of keep Mr. Parton informed of where we are. But just wanted to bring that to your attention. So, okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Duval, you were ahead of me on the Belmont issues.
Okay.
One in particular was the sidewalks, and I think we've given you the exact address. Is it possible, I know you're going to talk directly to the HOA, I'm going to ask if someone on Mr. Fincham's planning staff could
Sure.
be your contact,
Absolutely.
just in case the county needs to,
Right.
see what's
Yep.
going on.
And we talked about that. I said, the only thing I had to require of that I had to make contact with the county to make sure everybody stayed in the loop. So
Exactly.
we're together. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last one is, it's more of a pet peeve, but it
Okay.
is really traffic.
Yes, sir.
On Broader Street,
Okay.
in front of the Rite Aid Shopping Center,
Okay.
there are 3 or 4 turn lanes to turn right into the shopping center.
Okay.
The other day, I witnessed someone enter on the very first spot and drive all the way to the light.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know how we can fix that, but I thought if you just put a little line work that showed a curve that says this is where you're really supposed to turn if you're in that lane.
All right.
Because I would imagine if someone hadn't seen that person and they just moved over, it would have been an accident.
All right. Okay.
So it's not a barrier, it's just paint.
Okay.
That may help. You're not supposed to
Be
cross
glad
the
to take a look at it.
I would
Thank you very
appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And I'll stay in touch with the Belmont issue.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
As again, you've done a great job here.
Okay. Thank you
We're
very
happy
much.
to have you as our representative.
All right. See you back on 28th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Mrs. Curran, I saw her. Oh, okay. Mrs. Curran's here for the treasurer's report. Hello, Mrs. Curran.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and fellow board members, Mr. Cully. I was trying to hide in the corner over there.
You did a very good job.
You all should have gotten a copy of the balance sheet and the revenue summary, the detail in your board packet. The good news is with the balance sheet and looking at that as of March 31, the general fund, the available fund balance as of that date was a little $8,886,000. That does include the amount we need to pay back for the RAN that we borrowed last year. But it is up from last year. So the available cash is up a little over $3,400,000. So that's a good. We may not have to borrow as much. Looking at work with Ms. Hatcher as far as the borrowing for next year. In looking at the revenue report, it was a little hard to compare numbers because I've got the accruals came out of the revenue in April of last year. So you've really got 7 months in this year's numbers and the 9 months to compare with the previous year. But the good news is the revenue is up over in the tax category from last year. So we've got an increase. The personal property, we were able to collect a little over $285,000 from folks' state income tax returns during the month of April. And we've got another sizable payment coming in this year, or this month. So I think the delinquent collections are up. The tax bills are out on the street. I hope you all have gotten your real estate and personal property bills. We've gotten lots of phone calls yesterday and today, mostly about the proration and the high mileage discount. But I can honestly say I didn't get any calls this year about the amount that they have to pay. So that has, I think with the change in the assessment method, has helped with the amount of tax to pay. But I don't have any other. I know Ms. Hatcher's got a detailed report following me, and her comments are in line with what I saw in the revenue report as well. Are there any questions?
Questions at this time for Ms. Curran? Mr. Underwood? Thank you. Devin? I did get correspondence from you this week, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see that the personal property tax bills had gone to where we thought they were. So
Yeah.
I was expecting a whole lot. I was hoping for a whole lot of complaints saying they're really low, but I guess that doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs.
Okay.
Curran. We appreciate it. Mrs. Hatcher? This is the third quarter budget review.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Chairman Thomas, member of the board, county staff. In your packet is the third quarter budget status report, which is for the 9 months ending March 31st. As Ms. Kern referred to, this quarterly report is on an accrual basis. The revenues that were collected July and August that belong to the prior year have been backed out. So the revenues you're seeing right now are applicable only to this year. As may be seen in the attached summaries, 61.5% of the budgeted revenues for the major funds have been collected or billed. 68.6% of the budget expenditures have been expended for the major funds. Both revenue and expenditure percentages are slightly lower than the same quarter last fiscal year, and I adjusted my last year for moving accruals in and out, so I'm more on track. Your general fund revenues are $23,570,488,000, or 54.7% of budget estimates. Your property tax collections are higher than the same quarter in fiscal year 12. Your sales tax right now is running slightly lower than the same period of last fiscal year. You appear to be declining slightly, but there's 2 months lag, so anything can happen. But we have had several businesses close in the county, which helps contribute to that. Your local communications taxes are also slightly lower, and that has to do with the multiple suits we've had over multiple years, to do with cell phones and everything else. Your business license collections are slightly higher in comparison to last fiscal year, basically due to several major road construction projects. Your recordation tax revenues and permits and fees are higher than last fiscal year. Sales of real estate seem to be increasing slightly, as well as the construction of new homes, so that's a good sign. Charges for services are below last year's levels and are currently at 50% of budget. Your fines and forfeitures are also less than last year at 61% of budget. All your other revenue categories, including your Commonwealth revenue and your federal revenue, are higher than last year. Overall expenditures in the general fund are slightly below the 75% threshold, as are most of the departments. All the departments continue to be conservative in spending. Your school revenue and expenditures are the only thing in your report that are on a cash basis, and they're both under the 75% threshold, and they're right at the same mark as they were this time last year. Social services revenues are 69% of budget, slightly higher than last year. Your expenditures are below the 75% threshold and are slightly lower compared to last year. CSA revenues and expenditures are below the 75% threshold, but from what I'm understanding, we're probably going to end up the year higher than what we were last year. Your debt retirement reflects revenues of 91%. $3,473,971 represents general fund transfer, and $688,676 reflects the dedicated personal property transfer. Those will be adjusted as we get collections in the fourth quarter from the personal property. Both your revenues and expenditures appear to be high because both of them include the $1,085,000 QSAB funds that we received and then turned right around and paid down on the $3 million rand for the school. That part of the budget will be adjusted in June when we amend the budget overall. Your meals tax revenues continue to be lower than the same period last year, which, as I stated before, is the first decrease in several years. Expenditures are 92.7% due to the timing of debt service payments and the reduction of the $3 million ban. Operating revenues for the utility fund are at 76% of budget, representing 8 months of billings. The operating expenses for the utility fund is 52.8% of budget, well below the 75% threshold. This is due to the delay in the startup of Caroline Pines, the wastewater treatment plant, and the water master plan, which is currently on hold but budgeted. Debt service for the utility fund is 95%. Should be noted, again, that operating revenues continue to be greater than operating expenditures. For the 9-month period, operating revenues were $805,000 higher than the operating expenses. Availability fees, here's a good sign. Availability fees are 71% of budget. 27 water, 26 sewer fees were paid through March 31st. The budget includes 37 water and sewer availability fees, and at the end of April, we had collected on 38 water and 37 sewer. So we are going to be a little bit above budget on availability fees, which is a good sign. Your Dawn wastewater fund billed operating revenues is 107% of your budget. 30%, or $19,826 of the $65,000